Sales volume up, inventory way up, prices holding strong. Does any of it make sense? Hey there, I'm Matt Sloan, and I'm a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area. And if I could ask a huge favor, if you could just hit that subscribe button, it would mean so much, as I'm really trying to grow my new YouTube channel. And if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Now, with the heat of the summer and the recent cuts to interest rates by the Bank of Canada, the volume of sales in July ticked up over last year. Sales volume has begun to rebound since 2022, when the Bank of Canada was combating inflation with raising rates. Sales are up almost 10% compared to July 2022 figures. Even with the growth in the sales volume though, buyers continue to benefit from more choice, with the number of active listings up to 55%, hitting just over 23,000 over last July. With a better supplied market, prices on average have remained relatively flat compared to the same period last year. Even with an increase in volume of sales, the average selling price was just over $1.1 million, represented a small decrease of 1.1% over July 2023. Now, to share all this, because again, I could just spit all the numbers to you and you might not really see the whole picture, but every month I like to bring up these charts and these stats to really show you how the real estate market is flowing throughout the year. So a great chart that I always like to start with is this dot chart here. So it represents the average sale price from March 2020 to July 2024. And one thing here that I really want to point out is if you look at this July 2024 average sale price here, just over 1.1 that we just saw, we see it had trended down just a little bit since May and June, right? Now this is your average seasonal change, where we see a little uptick in March, April, May, June, and we slowly start to see it come down a little bit in July and August, and slowly pick back up a little bit in September, October before the holidays. Now, if you look at past Julys, like for example, July 2023 and July 2022, and even July 2021, you still see the exact same thing. So after that spring market, once we get into the summer, we see that little dip in average sale price. And again, that's due to people being away with the kids, enjoying summer at the cottage, doing vacations, etc. But, so we've seen this exact same thing happen this July. So we're on trend for your typical real estate market seasonal change. So we could expect to see this a little bit more in August and then tick back up slightly in September. So keep that in mind. If you are a buyer looking right now, August could be a very good time to buy for you in terms of average sale price. Moving on here, we'll look at the stats year over year. For the average sale price, year to date is 1.127 million, and number of sales, we have had just under 42,000 sales year to date, which is down 4.5%. So again, last year was one of the slowest real estate markets we've seen in decades, and we're even trending below that right now. So it'll be interesting to see how we finish the second half of the year to see if we can ramp up those sales a little bit. And your average sales or days on market is 22 days on market, up about 29%. Again, last year we were kind of seeing, we were coming out of that little spike we had in the spring this time last year. So that kind of makes sense a little bit. And then looking at this big red box over here, a whopping 4.4 months of inventory. So a lot more than we're used to in the Greater Toronto real estate market, but we are sitting in that kind of balanced market area where, it's okay for sellers in some areas of the city and very good for buyers in other areas and other parts of the city. So it really depends which pocket you're in, but it is a balanced market right now, representing all home types across the GTA with 4.4 months of inventory. If we look at this monthly sales data chart, this one's cool because it just shows how the numbers have changed over the last 13 months. It's 13 months because we also include July 2022 in here, just so we can compare. And if you really look at, again, one of the more important things is this month of inventory section. We've seen ever since March or February this year, months of inventory has slowly been creeping up ever so much. But when we look at the average sale price, it's still kind of, coming around that $1.1 million mark and not fluctuating too much when you really compare the months of inventory on the market. So we'll see what continues to happen here, if months of inventory continue to go up or if we see it absorb a little bit. And then if that happens, I would tend to think prices will creep up a little bit more than what we're seeing right now. Again, as I mentioned before, August, one of the better times to buy historically for buyers, where we typically see one of the slower months of the year in terms of average sale price. And lastly here, we can look at the last 6 Julys. So Julys ever since 2019. And we can see how this past July, number of sales creeped up from last year a little bit, which is great. And 2022, definitely from there. But when we compare it to 2021, 2020, and 2019, when the market was a little bit more active, you can see how we're just not quite there yet. And the more important thing, actually, when we look at all that, is these active listings. And we can really see, if you noticed, 23,877 active listings here. We can really see how that will affect how the market reacts in terms of price. Even though, like I've mentioned already, price is holding pretty strong at 1.106 when compared to last July when it was $1.16 million. And lastly, this months of inventory, again, as I went over, typically we're seeing, that months of inventory range, between 2 or even 3 months of inventory. But now we're at that 4.4 months of inventory. Again, a lot more selection for buyers out there. So if you are thinking about buying, try to take advantage if you can. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight on what's been going on and how the real estate market has reacted throughout this year, first half of this year, and where it might be going next. To sum it up, the above average available inventory of homes for sale will initially keep home prices relatively flat. However, as inventory absorbs, market conditions will tighten in the absence of a large-scale increase in home completions, ultimately leading to a resumption of price growth. Thanks for watching this market update, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe.